Good day, grade 4s. I hope that you're all still doing very well. Today we are going to do a recap on topic 6, page 55 to 68 in your textbook. It's about materials around us. However, before we can do that, we need to mark our practical activity that we did in the previous lesson. Can you remember the topic? Correct. It was about the water cycle. I really hope that you did not forget about your bottle and that you answered the questions regarding that practical activity. Let's quickly mark them. The correct answer for question number 1 is the water in the bottom. And then which part is like the rain falling, the water condensing on the side of the bottle. For question number 3, which part is like a river flowing back into the sea, the droplets running back down the water along the side of the bottle's the correct answer. What do we call the process where the water turns into vapor? It is evaporation. And your last answer is water as a liquid, evaporation, condensation, and then water as a liquid again. That's the cycle that the water is going through. So that you can quickly mark them in your book. I want you to mark your 4 words as well. If you got it correct, then well done. Now we are going to start with our revision activity. I want you to think about the following questions. What are solid, liquid, and gases? How can water be a solid, a liquid, and a gas? Why does my ice cream melt in the sun? Why does water start to bubble in the kettle when it gets hot? What change of state takes place when a substance melts? What change of state takes place when a substance evaporates? Why does the amount of water on Earth remain the same? And then lastly, what is the water cycle? If you know all of these answers, then you are ready to go on. If you struggle to answer them, I recommend that you go through this chapter again. Matter takes up everything in the universe. There are many forms or shapes that it can take in order to create the objects we interact with on a daily basis. We call this properties or states of matter. Matter can either be in a solid, liquid, or a gas. The only thing different between these states of matter is how the particles behave. To get a better idea of the states of matter, we are going to use water as an example. As a solid, matter is tightly packed together and barely moves around. Solids rarely change forms unless they're melted or broken. Kind of like when the water is in the form of an ice cube. Next up, we are going to discuss liquids. Liquids are different than solids. Instead of having a fixed shape, they're able to move around freely in their containers. This is because the particles of liquids are not as tightly packed together as solids. Liquids will often change its shape to fit into their new environment. A river is a great example of water as a liquid because water has to flow around objects to reach its destination. Gases completely fill the container that they're in. When we blow up a balloon, we are filling the balloon with a gas called carbon dioxide. Yet, when we release the air from the balloon, we are unable to see it with our own eyes. This is because the particles are so tiny and so spread out that our eyes cannot see it. If you heat up a pot of water to a high enough temperature, the water will begin to boil. The steam coming out of the top of the water we consider a gas as it spreads out in the air around you. Now that we know matter can exist in our world as a solid, a liquid, and a gas, we can start exploring what objects matter can make. Matter can make up the solid ground as seen in this picture. Matter can also make up the water as drawn in this picture. And then lastly, matter can make up the gases in the air. This is why matter is so important to us. When is a material a solid? The word property has different meanings. We say this house is the property of Mr. Mabusa. He is the owner of the house. When we use the word property in science, we look at what makes that kind of matter special. How does it behave differently from other kinds of matter? For example, when you shift a chair to another space, it will still have the same shape. This is because the chair is solid. So we say that all solids keep their shape. We say that keeping its shape is a property of a solid. What is a liquid? There are liquids all around you, and you use them in your everyday lives. Some examples are water, paraffin, baby oil, fruit juices, petrol, spirits. What are the common properties of liquids? Take a look at the video clip about liquids with different densities. Today we are going to do a simple science experiment that you can even do at home to learn about density. Start by taking an empty glass and drop some water and food coloring in. Then add some syrup. You can add some more water to make the layer a bit thicker. Fill the glass up with cooking oil and leave it to settle for about 15 minutes. These liquids settle out in different layers because they have different densities and they do not mix. Syrup has the highest density, so it sits on the bottom. The oil has the lowest density, so it rises to the top. Try dropping in different objects. If we drop this metal nut in, you can see that it sinks right to the bottom. Take this grape and drop it in, it sinks through the oil and water but sits on the syrup. Because the syrup is much denser than the grape. Plastic bottle top slowly sinks through the oil and sits on the water. If I take a piece of sponge and drop it in, it sits on top. It is denser than the sponge. You can even try dropping different objects in. Shine a light down from above, it gives a really nice effect. What is a gas? Do you remember that in the first term we spoke about breathing as one of the 7 life processes? When we can breathe, we are taking in and giving out gases. But we cannot see the gas. Gases are a bit more difficult to understand as we usually cannot see gases. We can see places where gases are used and the containers that a gas is kept in. Do you know of any gases? What about gas we use in a stove to cook food? Have you seen gas coming out of the exhaust of a motor car? To summarize, I want you to read through this table and look at the differences between solid, liquids, and gases. Grade 4s, if you are looking at this video clip on your phone and you are struggling to read the words because it's too small, the PowerPoint will be available as well. Lastly, please complete the activity for lesson 4 for me, and that is it for today. I'm going to leave you with a science joke for today. What type of bee can't make up its mind? A maybe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.